Hello everyone, welcome to the Mysterious Stories channel, where you'll discover the most mysterious, scary, and fascinating stories. Make sure to turn up the volume and get ready for a spine-chilling experience you won't forget. This story goes back about 30 years to when he was a soldier. His name is Uncle Mitter, and he is a friend of my father. He was sent to be stationed in the southern region, which was all dense forest. Deep within the forest, there was a village. Many soldiers were stationed there because the area required considerable oversight. The area required a significant number of personnel for guard duty and patrols. Consequently, many soldiers were stationed in the area. In a typical week, there were about 3 patrols in the forest, some during the day and some at night. Uncle Mitter mentioned that he enjoyed patrolling because it was less boring compared to guard duty at the posts, especially since, at that time, there were no mobile phones or other forms of entertainment. At least during patrols, he could chat with friends and it felt like an engaging activity. One night, their commander received information from his contacts that there might be drug smugglers passing through their jurisdiction. The coordinates indicated a spot in the forest that the commander had never patrolled before. Normally, they followed familiar routes, but this time, they had to venture further. They prepared and planned thoroughly for the mission that night, starting their patrol around 5 p.m. On that night, 12 soldiers, including the commander, were deployed for the patrol, significantly more than the usual 7 or 8. The larger number was to ensure they had the upper hand in case of a confrontation with armed smugglers. After driving to the edge of the forest, the 12 men, led by the commander and a few experienced sergeants skilled in navigation, began their patrol. Initially, the path was familiar, but after nearly an hour, they deviated into an unfamiliar, dense part of the forest as night fell. With only their flashlights to guide them, they navigated through the thick vegetation, consulting their maps as they went. They finally reached the reported spot and the commander ordered them to take positions, forming a circular formation to trap any incoming smugglers. Uncle Mitter, being the smallest, was assigned to a hill to signal if he saw any movement. After about an hour, he noticed flickering lights approaching and alerted the commander. The soldiers prepared to ambush, hidden behind trees and bushes, waiting silently as the lights drew closer, accompanied by the sound of footsteps crunching leaves. Uncle Mitter counted at least 4 or 5 lights, indicating a significant number of people. As the lights got within 10 meters, the commander signaled to strike. The soldiers revealed themselves, ready to confront the smugglers. But when they shone their flashlights, there was no one there, only trees and silence. The sudden disappearance baffled them, leaving the commander and his men questioning where the people had gone. If these people had run away, we would have heard the sound of them running. We even heard their footsteps when they were walking. There must have been some noise as they ran. If they had run off, they would have run straight into the circle of soldiers surrounding them. There's no way they could have just disappeared, right? They should have been caught in the net we cast. With that many people, they couldn't have vanished into thin air. They couldn't have just dug into the ground and escaped. The soldiers closed in, expecting to meet the group, but instead, they found nothing. Captain was baffled. What the hell happened? He shouted up to Uncle Mitt, who was stationed on the hill. Hey, did you see anything? Uncle Mitt climbed down and reported, I didn't see anything. When they got close, the trees and bushes blocked my view. I saw them approaching, but then nothing. How could a group of people just disappear like that? They had multiple flashlights. Even if they ran, we should have at least seen them fleeing. Unless those people were very familiar with the area and knew all the escape routes, it's unlikely they could have gotten away so quickly. Initially, Uncle Mitt thought that might be the case. So, they regrouped and discussed the situation. It was around 9 p.m., and their mission was supposed to last until 2 a.m. If they didn't capture anyone by then, they were to withdraw from the forest immediately. With 5 hours left, they decided to change their strategy. Instead of forming a circle, they lined up in a straight line, staying close to each other. Captain ordered Uncle Mitt to keep his eyes peeled and not to let anything slip by. The plan was to wait and see if anyone else came by. If the group from earlier were locals who knew the area well, they might return. Uncle Mitt took his position again, determined not to miss anything. About an hour later, he saw lights flickering in the distance, coming from the same direction as before. He signaled to Captain, "They're coming from the same direction. I see lights again." Captain prepared the soldiers, positioning them as planned. They waited as the lights approached, getting closer just like before. This time, Captain wanted them to come as close as possible before making a move. When the lights were about 5 to 6 meters away, Captain gave the signal. The soldiers sprang into action, but they found nothing. This time, it was clear. It wasn't possible for the group to have run away without making any noise or leaving any trace. The area was dense with trees and vines. Even if they were experts at navigating the forest, there would have been some sound. Captain was frustrated. "This is not normal. Where did they go?" He shouted to Uncle Mitt, who was still on the hill. "Uncle Mitt, what did you see?" Uncle Mitt, clearly shaken, climbed down and explained, "When the group got close to you, I was watching them the whole time. Just as you and the soldiers made your move, they vanished. I saw it with my own eyes. They didn't run. They just disappeared in a blink." Everyone was on edge, unsure of what was happening. Captain knew they couldn't continue the mission like this. With 4 hours left, they decided it was too dangerous to stay. Captain ordered a withdrawal. They would stay near their vehicles until dawn, then report back to base that they stayed until 2 a.m. as planned. Before leaving, Captain made sure to count the soldiers. They lined up, 12 in total. Captain started the count, and as they went down the line, Uncle Mitt, who was last, counted 13. They counted again, and this time, Uncle Mitt counted 14. Each count added an extra person. Everyone was scared. Captain ordered Uncle Mitt to count from the back again. This time, Uncle Mitt started. 1. And they counted up the line, ending with Captain, and got 15. Each time they counted, the number kept increasing. They were terrified, knowing something was very wrong. The entire group had returned, with the last 2 buddies coming back after everyone else. "I found a gun lying over there," one soldier reported. "But I didn't see anyone around." The captain, visibly worried, ordered everyone to head to the spot where the gun was found. The 11 soldiers moved cautiously, sticking close together. When they reached the spot where the 2 soldiers had found the gun, the captain instructed, "Search the area thoroughly. Check every nook and cranny, every rock and tree." Everyone spread out, searching the vicinity. As they did, an eerie silence fell over the forest. They called out the missing soldier's name repeatedly, but there was no response. Suddenly, one of the soldiers, who was searching near a large rock, shouted, "I found him." The captain and the others rushed over. The missing soldier was perched high up in a tree, on a branch near the top, which seemed impossible to climb. The tree was straight and tall like a palm tree, with no branches low enough to climb. "How did he get up there?" someone asked in disbelief. The captain called up to the soldier, come down right now." But the soldier, visibly terrified, just shook his head and refused to move. His face was pale, and he seemed petrified with fear. For a moment, the soldier seemed to regain his senses, but then, without warning, he let go and plummeted to the ground. The impact was severe, his limbs were broken, and he lay on the ground, gasping for breath. "Quick, we need to get him to the hospital," the captain ordered, though none of them were trained medics. They made a makeshift stretcher and began the arduous trek back through the forest. As they moved, the weather turned worse. A heavy downpour started, making the ground slippery and the descent treacherous. They slipped and fell repeatedly, but the captain urged them on. They had to stop several times due to the rain and the difficulty of the terrain. They checked their surroundings and counted the soldiers repeatedly to ensure no one else had gone missing. Each time, the count was accurate until it wasn't. "Wait, "Count again," the captain said, sensing something was wrong. They counted once more and realized there was one extra person in their group. "Who are you?" the captain demanded, pointing to a figure that was standing with them but didn't seem familiar. The figure, wearing the same military gear as them but with a hat obscuring its face, didn't respond. The captain moved closer and tried to pull off the figure's hat. What he saw made him recoil in horror. The figure's face was missing from the nose up. It was just a bloody, gaping wound. Retreat. Everyone, retreat." The captain yelled, his voice cracking with fear. They all turned and ran, some slipping and falling, but they managed to keep the stretcher steady and keep moving. They sprinted through the familiar path, no longer caring about the rain or the mud, driven only by the terror chasing them. When they finally reached their vehicles, they hurriedly loaded the injured soldier and sped off to the hospital. They counted themselves again at the vehicles, and this time they were only 11. They had made it, but the terror of what they had seen would haunt them forever. If you enjoyed today's story, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel, Mystical Tales, so you won't miss out on more eerie and thrilling tales in the future. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.